Welcome to Sarah Yoga. I am Sarah. Today we have a nice calming, soothing practice for those days that seem like they are never going to end. So if you've had a really long, hard day, you're ready to wind down for the evening, this will be perfect for you. We're going to be definitely using a pillow and a block. If you don't have a yoga block, grab a couple of books, that'll suffice. And we'll just dive right in and end our day on a peaceful note, no matter what happened today. So grab your mat and let's jump right in. So starting this particular practice in a child's pose, time to wind down into a soft forward fold. So knees wide, big toes together, take it down. Let that forehead come in contact with the ground. If it doesn't reach the ground, you can always grab that block or those books and slide it right under your forehead. And then start here by beginning to take some deep rounds of breath. Notice the inhale filling up the low back, the back of the shoulder blades, the back of the kidneys. And then maybe even just exhale a few rounds of breath right out of the mouth. Let your day go. Signal to the body to start to unwind. And so if you have a lot going on in the mind today, just taking pleasure in releasing the front of the forehead, the frontal cortex, that part of the brain that is constantly in thinking, worrying, planning mode. And we're quite literally grounding it out in this pose. And so continuing here to feel the body melt, drop down. This is a hip opener as well, of course, so you might feel stretch to the top of the hip flexors. And so beginning to really just allow the sound of your own breath to start to settle the body and the mind. We don't really need a lot of other tools. Sometimes the breath is enough. As you're continuing to breathe here, you might allow for the exhale to begin to last maybe a second or two longer than the inhale. Just let it extend out. Not so much that it creates any stress or anxiety in the body, but just enough that you can start to maybe tap into more space, more that you can drop down into, more that you can release on the exhale. And so our yoga practice and this restorative practice really becomes this thing that we can come back to that's not technically a lot of physical effort, but it takes some practice in where to set your intention, where to set your focus. And so in order to bring ourselves more into the body and the breath and away from the thoughts and the mind from the day, let's give ourselves 10 more rounds of breath here, doing the best that you can just to simply observe the inhale and the exhale
counting to yourself from 10 to 0, really watching each inhale, each exhale. Starting to probably feel the weight in the head, the weight in the hips. Give yourself one last informal scan here. Anything else that you can let drop down? And then one last deep breath in through the mouth. Exhale, release. We'll start to climb up, and we're going to stay pretty low to the ground for this. So walk those knees back, and we'll come right out onto the belly, making a pillow with the hands, bringing your forehead down. And so we're going to take this into a hip opener, bending the left knee as if you were coming into half of a frog pose. And then if it's okay on your neck, you'll look to the right, opening up that whole left side of the neck. And then coming right back into your breath. If you can, maybe come back to those 10 rounds of breath. Just watching the inhale, watching the exhale. And if that's not working for you today, another technique you can use is simply allowing for the exhale to last just a little bit longer than the inhale, maybe a second or two. Seeing if there's any more depth that you can let the body sink into on that exhale. Final moment on this side, just go ahead and let go of the left side of the jaw. And then whenever you're ready, we'll make our way to the other side. So all of these poses, if you have more time today, please stay in them for as long as you like. And you can always pause the video, take a couple more moments on each side if you have that time. They only get yummier the longer you stay in them. But if you have to move on, we'll make our way into that right hip, bending the right knee. And looking to the left side, if it's okay on your neck. And then sinking right into this. So as you may have felt on the other side, there's this release in the lower belly on the right side, the inner groin. It's like that whole right side is dropping out and down. That left leg might feel like it's getting longer here. And then come right back into the breath. Taking 10 rounds, or maybe extending out those exhales if that works for you. And then again, when you're ready, we'll give ourselves one more inhale here. And then exhale, release. We'll start to come up and we'll now make our way up into a seat. So in any restorative pose, the slower you move, the better. We're so used to rushing from one thing to another. It's kind of rejuvenating in a way to allow yourself to move slow. So now we'll make our way onto our back and we're gonna grab that pillow and that block and just have them close by. We're not gonna use them quite yet for our final pose, because first we're gonna take a twist, but just to have them close by in case you do need them. And so you don't have to reach for them. We'll come all the way down onto the back. And first, just taking a soft twist here, bring your knees in, give them a squeeze. On your exhale, drop the knees to the left. So if you do want to make this softer, right, you can let the knees land on the pillow and take the arm out to the right, or maybe even slightly behind you out to the right. If it's okay on your neck, look up and over to the right. And then breathe here. And then again, whenever you're ready, we'll start to transition over to the other side. You might use that pillow or you might not. It's really depending on what you need. Knees will come to the right, left arm reaches out. Maybe look to the left. All of these just options. And then eventually we'll come up here and we'll begin to set ourselves up for our last and final pose. And so we'll use this pillow and block. Again, if you don't have a block, you can always use some books. And we'll set the pillow up for a soft back bend underneath the shoulder blades. And then the block, I like to bring the block up on the medium height, but you can play around. You know, your pillow might not be as dense or as thick as this, or the block or the book might come down a notch, just depending on, you know, your setup, and every body is different, so you might need something different than what I have. But essentially the pose is the same, getting a soft back bend into the heart. So as we come down here, kind of snuggle back. Finding that block or book or books underneath the back of the head. Kind of saddle down. And so a couple of options here. You might, oh, hello, little puppy. You might take the knees wide for another hip opener. Or you might really just want to make this soft. Sometimes that Baddha Konasana shape in the legs becomes too much on the inner thighs. So it might be a good option tonight to just let those legs get nice and long. The arms can be by your side, or you can bend the elbows and bring them off to the side like cactus arms. And so really reveling in this shape, if you sit at a desk or you've been driving a lot, or maybe just having bad posture. This is one of my constant go-tos to open up. So you might even just tilt the chin up towards the sky for a moment and then kind of let it settle back down. Open up the front of the throat, the back of the neck. And sometimes when we do these more restorative poses and practices, especially when we have a lot going on in our mind or we had a really crazy day, you might be fighting this urge to want to go off and do a bunch of things, because this can feel like you're not doing a whole lot of anything. But in reality, those are usually the times where we need to take that pause and feel grounded again, feel centered again, and then from that space we can maybe more efficiently decide or move forward with whatever the task is at hand. So give yourself permission to soften, to come back to your breath. Starting to feel these points of contact, like the back of the head, the back of the shoulders, the tailbone, the back of the heels, as if they were really supported by the props, by the ground, by the earth. You are supported. And so if you can here, you might just stay for a while longer. Maybe a minute longer, maybe 5 minutes longer. Give yourself as much time as you need. If you are ready to come out of this, Start to gently wiggle the fingers and the toes. Maybe reach the arms up and over the head for one last stretch. And then we'll peel ourselves over. Start to come up into one last seat. So I truly thank you for taking the time today. So I truly thank you for taking the time today, not only to watch this video, but to take time aside out of your busy day for yourself and unwind from that before heading to bed or heading to whatever else you might need to encounter for the rest of the day. If you have any feedback or comments, please leave me a note below. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up or subscribe. It just really helps me keep videos coming. But other than that, really take care of yourself. You might just hang out here for a moment. If you have to go, you have to go on to the rest of your day. I thank you again, and I will see you next time on XSarah Yoga. Namaste.